Hello and welcome to the Philippines. I think it's time for a medical trip. A really important medical trip. That should be allowed, right, under the present circumstances, for sanity, for mental sanity. I think 3 weeks or 3 months, 3 months under lockdown is there should be a law against that. There should be a law stating you're allowed to take a medical trip just to keep your sanity. So anyway, maybe I will proceed and see if I can get the proper documents to take a trip for my sanity. I've been able to get out a little bit, but here late last night, read the paper, read an article, and here in Cebu City, they canceled all quarantine passes. Yes, canceled them all. There is an issue with more and more cases being discovered. The question is a lot of the important information is not available, and in fact, they're sending somebody in. I think he's the environmental heads up the environmental department up in Manila, and he's coming down to try to figure things out. You read different things, you don't know what is accurate, what's not. There may be an issue with duplicate counting of cases. There might be an issue with, a number of different issues. And that's a discussion for another time anyway. This morning, for an hour or two, there wasn't a helicopter flying around out here. I suspect it was our guest, our very important guest from Manila, sent down by the administration to check things out. He was a former general, I've read, and perhaps that is him up there taking a bird's eye view of the situation, looking at traffic, getting a good feel for the city. And he circled around above Cebu City, and then over towards Mandaue City, back over here. Made several different passes, maybe in the course of an hour or so. I suspect that is him up there, getting a view and a feel for what's going on with traffic and just the layout of the city. I was walking this day before the new lockdown. Nobody was advised that was coming up. It was announced later in the evening, and I was walking. I need to get some money, and I need to get some essential items. So I was walking to do that. And we're under ECQ, enhanced community quarantine, more strict than the general quarantine that many cities are now under. Most of the Philippines is under. Cebu City went back under the more strict quarantine. So a lot of the stores, shops closed down. People that had been working maybe 1 week or 2 weeks were again put out of work. And then last night they said nobody's allowed, period. We're pulling all passes. We'll determine how we're going to issue passes again in the coming days. So anyway, we'll all have to wait for that, and just basically a lockdown again. And they've sent in more police, I think more military personnel to help police that type of situation. And it's very difficult for the poor, and like so many people all over the world, most people don't have savings. You know, they're waiting every week for that paycheck so they can go out and buy enough food, pay their bills, those types of things. So 3 months basically under quarantine has made it very difficult. You see many more people out asking for food and money, people that you never used to see before. And it is disheartening, to say the least. The malls, which were opening up some of their stores under the GCQ very briefly, are now pretty much closed up again. This is SM. They have alcohol or something on the pad there. You step on that, and then you press on with your foot. You press on a little actuator, sprays alcohol into your hands. They take your temperature, and then you're allowed to proceed in. Many of these stores had been open, like I said, for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and now most of them closed. I think only the supermarket, the food store, Ace Hardware, big hardware store here, and well, some of these shops were open, but I'm sure they're closed down as of today with the more strict lockdown because those workers would not be allowed out. Their passes have been canceled. For about 3 months, dentist offices have been closed. I was one of the people that had planned on going to see a dentist. Most of the doctor's offices, medical clinics have been closed much of that time. Some hospitals have laid off people because they've repurposed some people, got them involved with the virus situation, but laid off staff because they don't have that income coming in. They don't have those regular customers, regular operations, regular medical maintenance type situations that bring in the income that permit them to operate. Here's the big Ace Hardware. Ayala has a True Value Hardware. I think they're one and the same ownership. The good news is that Mandaue City and Lapu-Lapu, Mactan Island are still under the more lenient GCQ. Hopefully things will change July 1st. That is kind of another milestone where they're going to look at the situation, decide whether they can loosen things up a little bit more. So hopefully that will happen. Mandaue City, Cebu City, it's like the twin cities. They're one economic unit, so it's difficult for many people when you stop people at the border, say you can't cross that border. I know many people who live in cross one border, and so they cannot go to work. They cannot go to work even if their work is open. They are stuck. I know other people who are stuck at work. They can't go home. I know of one Filipino. He cannot leave work. He's stuck there. He has to stay there. And I think he's got a 13-year-old son that is living in another area of the city. Cross that border that he cannot cross, and he cannot leave work. And fortunately, Filipinos take care of their neighbors oftentimes. Apparently, some of the neighbors are helping to make sure he gets fed if they have received any type of rice allotment, that type of thing. The good news is that I occasionally have some of you comment that married couples usually that say, we were able to get a flight into the Philippines. And I've got people questioning me about, can you travel, if you're married, you have a marriage certificate, can you travel by yourself and come into the Philippines? I don't know all the answers to that. You have to contact the immigration, the tourist departments, all those types of people, and find out what the requirements are at present time. And those are changing weekly. So anyway, stay safe, stay healthy. See you next time.